Hey, before the podcast gets started, make sure to go cop some t-shirts. I'm gonna take you out to the website. YouTube demonetized me, so your boy broke as fuck. So if you want to help support me, hold on, let me pull this up. Oh, this is Stu's site. You can fuck with Stu too, but let me show y'all mine first. I'm the priority here, motherfucker. This is my shit. All right, so you got the Game Time tee, Game Time on the front, oversized tee, Team Macho on the back. You got the I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not supposed to curse in the first minute, but fuck it. I'm already demonetized, niggas. Facts. So yeah, I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm a bodybuilder. Yeah, so whatever you want to fuck with it. If you don't want to fuck with it, that's okay too. So yeah, like if you want, hey, if you don't even support me, if you support Kane, if you like dogs, if you want Kane to stay on his diet, you know what I'm saying, keep getting brolic, keep getting buff, fuck with some t-shirts. All right. If not, Kane gonna be hungry. I'll put the camera on him, but he's sleeping right now. They don't. That's why I said buff. I'm like, they don't know what brolic mean. If you're not from New York, you probably don't know. But anyway, support Stu as well, because he do this podcast. And I like to support my friend's business. Unlike everybody else who go rock Gucci and all that shit, I rock with my boys. So go cop Stu stuff, beefstew.net. He got the Fear the Fro shirt. That's my favorite right there, Fear the Fro Stu. And then he got this serious bodybuilding one, beef stew with the abs and thighs. Oh, he cheaper than mine. His is $28. Damn. I gotta drop my rate. I gotta match that rate. I'm motherfuckers cop my shit. But anyways, I don't want to make this too long. Team Macho, that shop, and beefstew.net. Fuck with your boys. Enjoy the episode. I don't know if you saw this. I'm just now seeing this.
Bumstead.
Is that real? Is it confirmed?
Yeah, it came off his page, man.
Really? Let me see his story.
Yeah, click that first one. No. The first. Click his most recent post.
Okay. Sick here. This one?
Yeah, if you read that.
Oh yeah. Wow. I got to be honest. I didn't think he would do it. I felt like
he would either.
I felt two things. I felt like he would be over it, and then if he didn't place where, okay, we know the difference. We know that he can beat guys, but if guys match his condition and they're way bigger than him, of course he wouldn't beat them, right? But I think a lot of his fans think that he would beat everybody in the open. So I thought he would be nervous, like his fans would see him do, you know. So I actually have a lot of respect for him for doing it, actually, you know. And not for nothing, I mean, Classic, they kind of peaked like guys did in the 90s. They didn't really care about fullness much. Just like they were almost like Dorian was flat. He was just big as fuck. But Dorian was never full on stage, right? So if Bumstead actually comes in full, I think he would have a very similar condition, even 10 pounds heavier, you know?
See, I'm going to go against you on that. I feel like if he may be able to bring like a 2 to 5 pound heavier weight and still have the same conditioning. And the thing is, you know, I caught some shit for this because I said I don't think Hani Rambod is all what people hype him up to be. You know, I did Leo's podcast a few days ago and people didn't like what I had to say about that. I didn't like shit on the guy. I just said I think there's a lot of hype on him. With that being said, Hani's not dumb enough to try to bring this guy in like 10, 15, 20 pounds heavy or anything like that. Yeah. And I don't think Chris is either, but like, I'm sure they'll bring him in as heavy as they can while still being able to replicate the same conditioning. If they can replicate the conditioning needed, you know, to match everyone else and obviously be at Chris's best, the weight will be whatever it is. I just don't I may have to eat my words on this, but I think Chris is going to be a little shallow next to a couple of the open guys. With that being said, I think so. Martin's doing it.
Yeah.
Akeem is doing it. Sean Clarita's doing it. Do you know any other guys that's doing that show right off?
Well, Rubio was gonna do it, but I believe he
Pulled
pulled out.
out. Did you say Brandao?
I think Raph is doing it too. You're right.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my thing, right? This is where you're right. Listen, pictures. This is not accurate at all. Like, believe me, Rafa is quite a bit bigger than Cbum. Okay, it may not look like it in this picture, but in person, yeah, Rafa is quite a bit bigger than Cbum. I think this is what bamboozles some of the fans because this looks like they're almost the same size, right?
Yeah.
I think
the only thing with Chris versus Raphael is, I'm one of those guys, man, that like I'll give somebody a chance, like 1 or maybe 2 years to be able to bring the right level of conditioning.
Yeah.
With Raphael, he cannot come in shape from behind. He just can't do it. He's added a lot of muscle. Kudos to him on that. And he's kept his structure. So kudos on that. I just don't like Chris's conditioning will be why he beats Raphael.
Yeah.
Like the detail that Chris has on the back shots or the hamstrings, the glutes, the low back specifically, even the upper back too. I think that's where Chris is going to shine when he stands next to Raphael. Now he's going to lose on the front shots. I think that Raphael can beat Chris all day on the front.
Yeah.
I think it's the side and the rear is where Chris is going to shine against Raphael. I think he's going to lose to Martin. I think they're both going to lose to Martin.
Yeah, because Martin is just as peeled as Chris.
Yeah, Martin can get in shape, and now granted, Chris has a little better structure than Martin, but Martin doesn't have a bad structure by any means. So
no.
I think that Martin's size will be enough to overpower Chris's structure. So I have Martin winning this. I don't see Chris going less than third based on the competitors that I know is doing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I would be saying this, but I honestly think Chris could beat Rafa just because.
I think he can and he will.
Yeah, I mean, because the truth is that, okay, Rafa is more muscular than Chris, but he's actually not that big. On the Olympic, we thought he was going to be so much bigger because those mirror pictures, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, he looks like a lot bigger. But honestly, on stage, he didn't look that big. I mean,
Martin looked a structured guy, man. Like he's one of those guys that like he has really good shape, good muscle bellies. So he looks bigger than he actually is. And I don't want to use the word exposed because I don't think he's quite exposed when he stands next to, other bodybuilders. But see, when you turn around to the back, this photo is favoring Raphael because it doesn't do Chris any justice. We know Chris is healed when Chris is on. And I think, I think this is a bad representation of what these two are going to look like side by side. Then again, I also I have that guy blocked, the one that you're showing his page. And stuff like this is why I have him blocked because he's tagged me. Like, he'll compare me to people, and I'm just like, man, I don't. Like, you're welcome to use my pictures. You're welcome to whatever. But I got tired of seeing, like, tags and, like, comments off just stupid stuff. So I just blocked the guy. I mean, like I said, I don't got anything personal against him. I just don't want to see his stuff.
Some of the stuff is literally just retarded.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Some of the stuff is good, but then some of the things are so ridiculous to the point that you almost don't even want to look at the page sometimes. I'm like, why the fuck would you post this?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when they take two guys, if you're not actually standing on the stage side by side, like this,
it's relevant.
Give you a very vague idea, but like, it doesn't matter until two guys are actually standing side by side. Because when you have lighting that's different, like that ain't even the same stage, I don't think. Even though it's probably the Olympia, but it's not the same lighting because the classic guys, I think, weren't the classic guys on a different stage this year? They always are.
For prejudging, they were at the expo stage, which
Yeah,
lighting is brighter. No, actually, this year was darker. Most of the years, it was like too bright. I think they try to downlight it and make it not as bright, but it was actually really dark this year.
yeah.
So, but yeah, even from the side, I mean, I don't think it's even close. I mean, I think Chris's side chest is a lot better. I mean, from the
Chris
chest
has
triangulation.
one of the best side chests in the world. I mean, he's got to be like top three, top five in that.
I think so. I think so.
It's
Who else would be there?
I don't know, man. He hits that like he right now. He may be the master of the side chest pose.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah. So
Like that
yeah,
was he's not going to lose that pose. And that's including to Martin too. I don't think Martin's going to beat him on a side chest,
no. And here's
and
the thing.
nobody's going to beat that front lat spread.
No, yeah, he hits that perfectly too. I think Chris looks his most impressive, like three weeks out, like when he's like full but shredded.
Yeah,
So I don't know what he weighs. I would imagine he's close to his weight. You know, the key is not to overdo it because just a little bit of fullness, even like you said, 5 pounds of fullness. We're talking about 5 pounds of fucking glycogen in your muscle. That could
it's a
change your look
different human
drastically.
at that point.
I mean, you could look like a different person. You know,
I mean, it's
fucking
like
Martin. Hmm.
remember those photos of Flex Lewis when he's like 2 or 3 weeks out?
Yeah, yeah.
Like when he was probably like sitting at like 220, 225. I mean,
Hmm.
granted that's 10 pounds, but like it was just absolutely insane how he looked. And not that he didn't look insane whenever he won the Olympia, he just looked better at 225. Now,
He did.
only thing I don't like about these photos that people are putting up of Martin versus Chris, I if you just look at the pictures, I'm going to say Chris all day long, just based on these photos. But I know
Yeah.
what Martin actually looks like, and I know what Martin's true size is,
Yeah.
and yeah, it ain't going to look like that when they stand side by side.
To be honest, even in the pictures, I have Martin winning just from the muscularity and he still has really crazy condition. But anybody who was there in person said, bar none, Martin was the most peeled guy and most peaked guy in the show. Anybody
Dude,
that was
he's
there physically.
usually about every show Martin does. Like there was
Mhm.
one show, I don't remember which one it was. He was just slightly, and by slightly, I mean he instead of being 100%, he was like 98.5,
Yeah.
just slightly off. And even when he's slightly off, he's usually still the most conditioned guy. I remember people love to hate on things. People called him Martin Spillwater. Like, really? How you gonna hate
No.
on him when you can't do anything he's ever done?
Yeah, no, Martin is a hell of a fucking pro, man. I think you might be talking about the UK Arnold, where he dropped down a couple placings, right?
I don't remember. I thought it was like 2 or 3 years ago when it happened.
Oh, well,
He
yeah.
did good.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, he did the Texas, got second to Andrew, and then the Arnold UK he dropped to maybe third or fourth, maybe.
Maybe that's where it was, where people were ripping on him a little bit.
Yeah,
But you know how the fans are like the bodybuilding world. Like it's like they praise you when you're on the bottom, and when you're on the top, they want to see you fall. And like anytime they get a chance to take a shot at a bodybuilder, they definitely do.
oh yeah,
I try my
hundred
best,
ten
I
percent.
call it as I see it, but I try to be respectful of people and be mindful that not everybody is going to have a perfect showing every single time.
No, no,
I mean, hell,
not at
think
all.
about Chris, for example. Chris, if you look at like his progression, if you want to call it that, because he's hasn't gotten significantly bigger because he can't due to the weight cap. But like, there's been a couple of Olympias where Chris was better than others.
Oh yeah, 110%. I thought his best was his first year with Hani. Well,
Yes,
the first
yes.
year the second year he won with Ian was really fucking crazy. His back came up like a lot. But his first year with Hani, I want to say 22, maybe
Yeah, it was. No. It was 2023.
23.
23.
His fullness was insane. His condition was insane. Because if you can bring him in full, oh man, it's game over. So that year, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is it's not even close.
Like,
So
even though I'm not a big I'm not the guy who's going to ride Honey Rambod on this, but I will say he brought the best out of Chris in 2023. I think the 23 version of Chris would have smoked the 24 version of Chris. I don't know what it was. I have no idea how or why he was better. I don't think he got bigger per se. I think that Hani just pushed him a little bit harder on the conditioning. And obviously, when you're in harder conditioning, you look bigger. So I think he probably added a little bit of muscle that offseason and maybe was struggling to get into shape. And he had to bring a new level of conditioning in order to make the weight cap. And I think that's why he looked as freaky as he did. Now, what happened in 2024? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, he won the Olympia and he won it. Nobody's even questioning whether he should or shouldn't have won. But I don't think that was his absolute best by any means. And who knows, maybe, and I'm just hypothetically thinking here, maybe that's why he wants one more show. Mm-hmm. Go out at his best. Whether he wins or loses, it'll be at his best.
I think he's gonna look his best, not having to make weight. You know,
I think he'll look good at the show. Like, I have no doubt about that. But like, in my opinion on this, I actually haven't. You know, after I read Chris's post, it's a double-edged sword because I would want to go out as the champ. I would want to leave the stage like the final time, the exact way that Chris left the Olympia.
Me too.
Take the title, make the announcement, sail off into the sunset. I would, because, I mean, it would be different if he chose a small pro show that he's obviously going to win it. That's one thing. But, like, you're picking a show against Martin, and
you're not going to beat Martin.
I don't think you're going to beat Martin, and I don't think it looks good. I mean, to be honest, I'm still a little sour on finishing my career on second place. I didn't like that. But it is what it is. So I don't think Chris will be content with getting second place. Now, on the flip side of it, you got to ask yourself this. Let's theoretically say he shows up and he wins it. And it's not a political decision. Let's say I'm dead wrong and you're wrong too. We see the picture like, shit, he beat Martin fair and square.
That would be crazy.
So if he does beat him fair and square, that opens the next question. Will he have the edge to want to actually maybe go to the Olympia and the Open? You know, like, will he want to do something like this a little bit further? Let me move this out of the way. Like, my phone is my camera. I don't have a prop like most people do. Like, I'm stacking shit up here.
That would be probably the greatest story. He wins 6 Classic Olympias. It beats Martin because once because I think right now he has no interest in the Open Olympia because he feels like he would need, I don't know, 30 pounds of tissue. But if he beats Martin, that would tell him that maybe he don't need as much as he thinks he does.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm just thinking out loud, would that, because if you read his post, I don't think Chris allows the fans to influence his decisions. But he would have a lot of pressure from his fans, his friends, his family, you know, to say, hey, man, like, look, you just beat the 4th best bodybuilder in the Open. Like, why not? What do you got to lose? Give it a shot. But then on the flip side of it, you know, you got to think that if he's really checked out of the sport, then that's another year of his life that he has to dedicate. Not only that, I think if Chris were to decide to do the Open, it would be the biggest challenge that he's ever had to face. Just because, like, when Chris turned pro, he turned pro at like 220 pounds, something like that, as a heavyweight. And his classic cutoff the first year was like 224. So think about that. He doesn't really I don't want to say he doesn't have to work hard, but he doesn't have to sit here and grow because he's already at the top. And every year he's gotten like that 4 or 5 pound leeway because they keep increasing it every year or two. Yeah. That's kind of I don't want to say easy, but it's easier to add, you know, like a 4 to 5 pounds onto your frame. But if he goes into the Open right now, he's going to find himself gorged with food all off season. You know, he's going to be. I think if he actually gave a year, I think this would be by far his hardest, most challenging offseason ever. Because at this point, we're not shooting to gain 2 or 3 pounds of muscle. We're shooting at like, I would assume he would want at least 10.
Yeah.
So that's a big jump from and he's a veteran now. It's not like he's not a spring chicken anymore.
No, but he basically said in the, I guess it was his post retirement video, that he was losing that drive, right? So he didn't have the same drive. He didn't want to become a lazy bodybuilder. Now that could mean that it will be a horrible decision to force feed, but what if that gives him new motivation, right? Because
that's what I'm saying. Like, getting that win may spark a fire under his ass.
Exactly, because when something like Jordan retired twice or 3 times, however much you retired, when something is too easy, not because like it's actually easy, but genetically you're just so far ahead of them, right? It could get boring, right? You're like, I'll just win every fucking time. Fuck this, right? But when you like, this is an actual challenge. What would I look like at 260? That might spark a fire. I don't know if his wife is gonna like that very much, but if his wife would like that, but it's one of those things. It could be great for business too.
Well, I don't think Chris needs to worry about business, man. And this is a big rumor that I have heard. It's kind of, keep in mind, I live in Port St. Lucie, right? That's where Revive and Raw is.
Yeah.
The headquarters is right here. So, like, I have heard that they've got investors coming in to buy it. Like, we're not talking about 10 million, 20 million, 50 million. We're talking big, much bigger money. And considering Chris is involved in that, and it makes sense. Think about when Jansen was saying how he's just going to retire, like, I'm not going to coach anymore. I thought about that, and I was like, either one, he's setting up for a really big defamation lawsuit against people, or two, he knows he's got a dividend coming so big that he can just give the whole sport a big middle finger and say, bye-bye, I don't need you no more.
You got to sell it. You got to sell while you're on top.
If I was them and somebody came in and offered me the number that I heard, I would be gone. I wouldn't even hesitate. I'd sign that contract and be done.
Because the only thing that would keep you would be
Let's
pride.
tell you this, it's 9 figures.
You see what I'm saying? The only that's crazy. The only thing that would keep you would be pride. You're like, oh, this is my baby.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck that shit. 9 figures. I mean, when you divide that amongst the partners, like, I have no idea how many people's got their hands in it, but it's like, dude, if I could cash out with $5 million, I'm good with that. I'm good.
Out of there.
I'll take that $5 million and I can go get. First off, I ain't the guy who's going to like. Everyone's different, like some people have a passion to just make money even when they don't need it, right? They just that's what they like to do. Me, I'm not like that. You give me my $5 million, I'll go buy some storage units that way I can have some residual income. I ain't working. I ain't doing shit. I ain't doing nothing.
Simple as that.
But
well, the Bang guy did that. He basically blows up a business, sells it, and then starts another one.
Yeah,
because he had the red line, and then he had something else.
I didn't know he got all that. Yeah,
cool. So I feel like Bang is but he probably doesn't. He probably doesn't do a lot of work for Bang. I'm sure he has people who handle that. So I mean, ideally, you want to blow up a business and sell it on top, and then do the same shit again. That's how you really get rich, So holding on to it, I mean, shit. Aaron held on to Redcon, and I mean that's not really. I don't think it's worth the same it was.
No, I think that's more of a pride thing with Aaron because he built it from the ground up.
Yeah,
he probably didn't want to let go of it, or maybe Aaron just truly loves his business so much he wants to obviously be in control of it. I don't know. Yeah. I think Aaron's passionate about Redcon, so
I think so. I think there's pride there.
Back to one other point on Chris on this is, with him. With him kind of doing this deal, it kind of makes me think that he's doing this authentically. Like, I don't know if there's pressure. I don't think there's money, because if you read what he put, he said he started this journey with no expectations. And he said, I started an open body. Did you read the caption he put on that photo?
Oh, no, I didn't. Let me go back to it.
Yeah, pull that caption up real quick and you'll see what I'm talking about. Basically said, I started my journey in open bodybuilding, and that's where he turned pro at. And he's like, why not finish it in open bodybuilding? I got thinking, I was like, I'm usually like I've always been against the idea of Chris doing open. I'm like, how would you do that? But it's like, hey, I've won the Olympia 6 times. I have nothing to prove. There's nobody in my rearview mirror. Nobody's touching me. I'm bored with this shit, but I'm going to go back to my roots, and I'm just going to give it one last just hooray and just get out. So I think this one's for Chris. This one's not for the fans. This one's not for Raw. This one's not for Hottie. This one's for Chris.
Yeah, and it shows a lot of like confidence, but also like a little bit of not giving a fuck, because I feel like with social media, a lot of people are scared to do a lot of things because they don't want to be scrutinized.
Absolutely.
Chris has gotten very little negativity, right? Because I mean, there's not much you could talk
He's
shit
like
about.
one of the most beloved guys in the sport.
Exactly. So once if he takes a bad loss, that opens him up for fucking jabs, right? If he comes in somehow 4th or 5th place, that's going to open up to a lot of scrutiny. So that's a lot of pressure, a different kind of pressure from the Olympia, But it's something that can go bad after you retired. You fucking ride off into the sunset, and then you lose. Sometimes, but it showed that
if he loses, you will 100% never see Chris on a bodybuilding stage again. If he loses, if he wins, I think he's going to go on. I think he will.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is, man. Like once you're a bodybuilder, like once you truly become a bodybuilder, I don't care what level you're at, you're always going to love it. Like you look at Phil, man. Phil ain't small by any means. He's been retired for like 5 years now, and the dude's still probably like 270. Like, look at Ronnie. He's in a wheelchair, still giving it everything he's got. Dude can't even walk.
He's still training hard. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I don't, because of Chris's age and the fact that he doesn't have any, well, I'll say he doesn't have any injuries. Chris has had multiple injuries. But he's injury-free at the moment. At least that's what we know. And he's had health issues, but he's healthy at the moment, for all we know.
Yeah.
So that being said, the dude's obviously passionate about training. Like he's got his own. I guess I could say this. Like he has his own private facility that he trains in. Like not Raw, not Revive. He has his own gym here somewhere in this town that's like his. Nobody else can go into. Nobody knows a gym like that to train for 1 year and quit.
Good point. Nobody knows his location. Actually, I think I saw Nick working out there once, so Nick will know the location. But it's an undisclosed location that nobody seems to know where the fuck it is.
Well, it's smart because with Chris's popularity, like, dude, Chris has like presidential debate following. Like he has that much. Like, I guarantee you, if people knew Chris Bumstead trains at 2:00 at this location, these fuckers are going to wait on him outside his door.
Oh, 100%.
They're going to stalk him.
Even if they don't have the address and they knew the area, they would like drive around and find Bumstead. They would drive for hours just to find him. So they can't even know what town that shit is in. I would assume it's close to where he lives. I don't fucking know, but
I don't know if it's in Palm City. I don't know if it's in Stewart, St. Lucie. I don't know if it's in Salerno. All those little cities all are like, it's just like LA, how you guys have like 40 different cities in one.
Yeah.
It's like our area. Like I have no idea if he's north, east, south, or west, or anywhere in between on that. I just know he's here somewhere.
That would be like a huge breach of security. Like nobody, like in the YouTube videos, they won't show anywhere besides the actual gym because they can't show the street, they can't show anything. You got to
man. You show out that window, people's going to connect the dots.
Oh, 100%. Well,
Florida, everything does kind of look the same down here. It's just palm trees everywhere.
But people are insane, man. They're gonna see a tree or see a store and
they're gonna recognize something. If you have a storefront, you're over. Like if you see the name of a store, just Google. Google that store, Port St. Lucie, Stewart. You'll find it real quick.
You'll find, even if it's a fucking Burger King, they're gonna Google every single Burger King.
Hey, there's a guy on Instagram, Geo Rain Bot or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
He's a guy, I'll have to send you his link later. He's not into bodybuilding. He is a super nerd, if you want to call it that.
yeah.
You could take, I guarantee you, I mean, he ain't going to respond to me or you because he's well above like our status. But
Yeah.
like, you could take a picture outside on my street and send him the picture and just say, where's this photo taken at? He'll give you the GPS coordinates.
Holy shit.
And he shows how he does it too. He'd be a guy that would like be able to find Chris in like 30 seconds.
Damn, yeah, you got.
If you show him a photo, like you can take, say you take a photo out, like you go hiking, right? You go to the top of a mountain, you take a photo. He uses the damn trees in the background to somehow pinpoint your location. He uses technology. So you got to think, if some random internet nerd can do that, think about what the government can do.
Yeah, that's
Like this guy can even walk to my bathroom without them knowing exactly which room I'm in.
exactly. You know, I think. Well, this is why. I mean, I think he's gonna open a. No, they already opened like a big raw gym or something like that. A bigger.
Oh yeah, it's here. It's done. It's up and running. I've been to it once.
Okay. Well, because he can't open like a Cbum public gym because let's say Bradley Martin is in that. He's not even close to as popular as Cbum, and he doesn't even work out. He barely works out at Zoo because you know what happens, right? I mean, it's the most ridiculous shit.
He can't physically train himself.
No, like people are trying to do pranks to him. People are trying to like call him out. I want to box you. Just stupid shit.
He walked into that because you know all the pranks and shit he used to do.
Good point.
He set himself up for that one. Like I don't feel bad for Brad on that one.
It's like he's getting older now, and I feel like he's really tired of all this shit. If he could, 100. I actually did a podcast with him. It was his podcast though, and he wants to live. Everybody thought he was joking. They were laughing. I can tell he was serious. First of all, his older brother lives in a what do you call it, like a mobile home, and just like drives around the country. He said he wants to do that. Like he's tired of this shit.
Oh, like an RV.
Like RV, yeah. And he says that's his dream. He wants to do that. Everybody started laughing, and you look at his face. He's dead serious. And I'm like, I don't think he's joking. Like,
dude, I think if you have the financial means to like just walk away from your life in California where he's at,
yeah,
and he does because I know he's got money, and the gym will run itself. You know, he hire management, do whatever you need to do. I think it would be a pretty cool, dude. You could buy an RV for like 50 to 75,000. Go buy that RV, and the only thing you're doing is gas. Like that's, I mean, granted, it's like 5 miles to the gallon probably, but I mean, when you have that much money, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, you could be gone for 2, 3, 4, 6 months at a time. You could tour the whole country.
Yeah.
And if your passion is traveling, nature, sightseeing, outdoors, cities, culture. Dude, it's I think it's kind of a no-brainer if you're in a position to be able to do that.
I think his fear is if he doesn't stay
relevant, his businesses will suffer, and then he has a lot of people employed. I think he's afraid that his employees may not be able to keep their job if he's not always in the limelight. Yeah. But damn, it has to stop eventually. Like, I mean, he's like at this point, he has to be what? If I'm 32, he's maybe 36, 37.
I would say he's got to be. I think he's around my age, 36.
Yeah. So, like, how long do you like? Because he's doing videos with TikTokers now and all this shit. I know he hates. I know he hates that shit. But he's trying to stay. You know, because if you can keep that demographic, you're always gonna have good business. Yeah. But how long can he do that? Till he's 50? I mean, at what point you have to stop eventually? Fuck.
Well, you look at Jay, man. Jay's still cranking the videos out.
That's true.
He's still relevant as well.
Good point.
But, you know, I know a couple of. I have a few friends that I say a few. I've got like 4 or 5 friends that are gym owners, and every single one of them I know will get a membership somewhere else. They will not train in their own gym.
It's not you like you said, you physically can't work out. Like people will stand there and stare at him like this.
Someone like him, because you deal with 2 things. You have your average member who comes in and out, but then you also, because he's got celebrity status, he has people coming out specifically come to see him as well. So he's got a double whammy. But like the guys I know, they're not like celebrity bodybuilders. They're just bodybuilders who started their own gym.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when people know you're the owner, it's just like you're doing your set of lat pull downs and you're like 4 reps deep out of 12. And you have some guy come up, hey man, I was just wondering, I can't get this machine to work over here. Can you help me out? It's like, oh man. And it's your gym. You can't be like, hey dude, screw you, go talk to staff. You can't say that to them. Otherwise, then you're a bad person, and you're like they're going to leave. So you have to be nice and cater to them. So usually, the guys who own gyms, they just have to get away from their own gym to be able to.
For sure. Well, yeah, you gave 2 viewpoints, but for him, he had the third one because he's done like wrestling matches and boxing matches. He has people who want to challenge him because he's a big guy, right? And he feels like it's an advantage. Which so far he seems to be doing pretty well because he's not like bodybuilder big, anyways, right? He's a big person.
Big guy. He's a big man, yeah.
Exactly. So you have a third group of people who want to challenge him physically, which can get out of hand very quick. Now, a lot of people don't know. People talk about this Mike Van Wyck thing. Bradley will slap the shit out of you. Bradley will punch you dead in the face. If he feels like he's threatened, though, he wouldn't just randomly do it. He has a lot to lose. But if he feels threatened or disrespected, or he'll smack the shit out of you. He'll punch
and I
you in the
respect him for that too.
100%.
Like I respect him for standing up like for himself and just like he talks a lot of shit online, but he's willing to back it up. And if it needs, because then you say he got punked by like Logan Paul, right?
Yeah, but they ended up fighting.
Well, he got physically punked. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
But you know what? He lost the fight, but I'm still going to respect the man for actually going through for it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. The moment you decide to close your fist, you may win, you may lose, but I can respect a man who's willing to go through with that.
See, I think
like with the Mike Van Wyck thing. Apparently, and I didn't know this because I know who Mike is, but I'm not like the biggest Mike Van Wyck fan ever. So like I don't follow his life and the things he's been through. But I guess he got called out at the Olympia before. Like some guy called him out and wanted to fight him at the Olympia. It's like, here's my thoughts with that though. Like,
you know who it was? It was one of Konevsky. Konevsky was doing the weight. Konevsky does the weight thing.
Yeah.
So it was one of Konevsky. He didn't actually get into it with Konevsky, but he got into it with his boy
Joey Stacks.
Well, the Joey Stacks came in later, but it was a different guy. I forget his name. It's like a tall guy, but he actually. I don't know if Mike was aware of this or if he said it, but he actually he does either jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or some shit. He actually knows how to fight like pretty well. Actually, I don't know if Mike was aware, but maybe I think how confident he was stepping outside with him, you could probably get an idea that the guy could, But yeah, but it looked like Mike might have been aware that this guy could probably handle himself, So, but no.
So like I've always told people this, like, hey man, if you really have a problem with me, you can come find me at an expo. But that doesn't mean I want to fight you. That means I'm not going to back away from you. Like, if you put me in a position where I'm like, okay, if I don't do something, this guy is going to take a shot at me and I'm going to get hurt. At that point, it's like, I don't have a problem with you, but I'm going to have to fight you then. You're going to make me do it. And that's fine too. But it's like, if some guy just walked up to me and like started cussing me, I'd probably laugh. And I'd be like, hey man, the only thing standing between us is there an opportunity. Like, you take a shot, man. Go ahead and get close if that's what you want. Like, I don't have a problem with you, but if you want to do it, we're going to have to do it. But see, with Mike's case, the reason I think, and I feel like I'm going to try to stay behind Mike on this, and I may be dead ass wrong. I feel like Mike was probably just minding his own business because there's been times, matter of fact, I called somebody out in the gym the other day, 2 days ago. Sometimes when situations happen, it takes you off guard. You don't know how to react because you weren't expecting it.
For sure.
I walk past, and the thing is, I don't take pride in what I said here because this was a very elderly guy. So I know people's going to hate me for this. But I walk past this guy, and I oftentimes have my AirPods or stuff in, but I'm not listening to music. I wear those to make you think I don't want to talk to you because I don't.
Yeah.
And I walked past there. He's talking to his friend, and I heard him say, "Yeah, like that big guy that just walked right past us." Like I hear it, and after I walked past, I was like, "He doesn't know I heard this." Like I ended up doing adductors and abductors, and I thought to myself, I was like, "Nope, you're not going to take it. He may be an 80-year-old man, but if he's talking shit, we're going to have to settle this." Like, so I literally went up to him and I confronted him. I say, "Look, man, I don't have a problem with you." I said, "But I couldn't help but hear what you just said when I walked past." I was like, "Is there a problem? Is there something we need to talk about? Something we need to discuss?" And the dude, he started, like, his voice started getting shaky. And I said, no. Like, I don't have a problem. You said this, not me, and I'm asking you what was said. He denied the whole thing. He denied it all. Look, we were talking about somebody else. I'm like, there was literally nobody within, like, visual sight, and there wasn't a big guy. I was the only guy walked past you, and I was a big guy. So it's like, I know you were saying something. But like I'm one of those people because I didn't expect it. I didn't react immediately to that. I'm like,
it takes
it's like if I'm just walking out in public and somebody's like, "Hey, Justin, I'm going to whip your ass." I'm like, "Wait, why is he like? Why is this going down?" You know, like now if you get me mad, there ain't going to be no question. Like I'm ready to go when I'm angry. But like when it's out of nowhere, it kind of like startles you.
Sometimes if your blood is boiling, it's like a reflex, right?
Yeah.
Like let's say working security, and words usually don't get me, right? But if I just finished breaking up a fight and I'm riled up, and somebody's like, "Oh fuck you," and then brushes past you, you just might swing on him, right? Yeah. And it's like you probably wouldn't do that if you were calm. So I don't know what was going on, what was said between him and Mike, and what mood he was in, but it almost looked like his blood was boiling. He didn't look like he was in a calm mood.
To the best of my knowledge on this, it does sound like Mike kind of started it by making a video. So yes, Mike's wrong. Like I'm not like Mike kind of did it right though, in the sense of like if you have a problem with someone, just handle it face to face. Like why are we going to make videos about each other online? That's so petty. That's childish. Like, am I going to go comment on your page and trash talk your page? Am I going to make a video about you? No. So I guess like Jeff thought Mike was a pushover, and I guess Mike was already mad. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like the way I understood this originally was Jeff was shit talking him in front of his clients, which is enough for me to justify and say Mike was right. He should have stomped his ass. However, I don't think Jeff was shit talking, but he did kind of like he poked the bear a little bit by just like it's one of those situations like if I genuinely don't have a problem over here, I'm not going to go cause a problem, right? But and also not to mention, I don't like publicly saying stuff like this because it makes you look weak. But I'm just going to say it about myself. It's one of those things you got to pick and choose your battles. I remember when I was at Sam's Club. This is well over a decade ago. I'm in Sam's Club checking out, and I hear somebody behind me, and it was a steroid comment, and I'm probably going to fire back at you 99% of the time. Like I'm just not here to tolerate someone's BS. Guy said something about it. I turned around. He's about my height, and he's just staring me dead in the face. Now, before I lost my temper, I realized this guy's nose was broken in like 3 places, and he had big cauliflower ears. And I said, "All right, Justin, you should probably just sit this one out."
Okay, see, like, if you say that, I think people, that's a smart, calculated move, right?
Yeah. So I was like, I'm actually going to get my ass whipped on this one.
So if I say that about Jeff, I think people get offended. But I'm like, if the guy is double your size and he's
you're at a disadvantage, don't poke that bear.
Exactly. So if you're talking back and forth and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you something to laugh about," that's him letting you know, hey, if you fuck around, you're gonna find out. At that point, I would you should just disengage. Act like you don't see him and continue with your workout, and nothing happens. But you're like, "Wait, what happened?" And then he walks over with the cameraman. Like I said, Mike is still wrong. Regardless how you spin it, Mike is wrong. My thing is that this is a fight you're not gonna win. So maybe just avoid it at all costs.
That's my thinking, because like I saw Mark Lobleiter's reaction to that, saying how like that Mike should be charged with like attempted murder. I mean, that's a stretch. However, you went for his throat. If you got in front of the right liberal jury, it's possible that that there ain't nothing going to come of that, because everybody's fine. Like, yeah, it's like this guy, like Mike boxes. I've seen a couple videos of it. I ain't saying he's good, but the fact is, you do have a 300-pound man that has some experience, and you're a 180-pound guy. That's a 300-pound guy with low experience, in my opinion. Keyword, I said low experience, not no experience. There's a difference there.
Yeah,
but a 300-pound guy with like a level 3 experience is probably going to hurt a guy that's 180-pound with a level 9 experience. Size does matter, which is why we have weight classes in MMA, boxing, and any other type of combat. There's a reason why we have that weight class.
110%. Chris Cormier had a
Story about that, right? When somebody smacked him on the back of the head at the club, and he turned around and it was Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't know.
When I saw Mike, I just be like, "Hey man, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
How you doing? I'm gonna run."
He said he didn't know what to do. He said he went and got flags and everybody, and he's like, "Damn, what do we do?" And he went, and then Mike was like, "Hey, my security said I wouldn't slap you, so I had to slap you. I'm sorry." And then he was like, "Okay, I think that's okay. I'm gonna take that apology." What the fuck are you gonna do, man? Like,
yeah,
let's be real, bro. Like,
and that was probably prime time Mike Tyson too, right?
That was, know. Now, granted, he has his own security, but I'm not worried about his security. I'm worried about fucking Mike. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'm worried. Like, I could have my own security. I'm still going to worry about Mike. He's going to go through my security.
I got to be honest. Even Mike, till this day, at 59, if Mike slaps me on the back of my head, I'll be like, "Hey, Mike, hey, nice to meet you, man. What the fuck are you going to do, motherfucker?"
Yeah, I'm just going to put my hands to my side, maybe put them behind my back to show him I'm no threat to him. I mean, he's going to whip my ass anyways if that's what he's going to do. So,
hey, yeah, so you got to pick your battles. Now, this being said, I think Mike would have been completely fine in a couple of circumstances, because Jeff is smaller. But let's say Bradley, right? There was a TikToker who went and grabbed Bradley's hat off his head.
Oh yeah, and he slapped the kid.
Exactly. See, if Jeff would have came and like grabbed his shirt or some shit like that, yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would be complaining. They'd be like, "What the fuck? What you expect, motherfucker?" If anything, I think they would have been proud of Mike if Jeff like did something like stupid like that, Or if Mike would have held back a little bit and maybe just come face to face with him, like, "Hey, what you want to do? If you want to talk shit, what you want to do?" And Jeff stepped away and he left it at that. They would have been like, "Hey, he confronted him as he should, and he let him rock." I think or even like a little shove, like a little chest to chest action. I think that would have been fine. I think there was also a bench, a seated row bench behind him.
Yeah,
so he pushed him.
Fell so hard.
Yeah, he kind of flew over the bench. So I think it was the excess of the force more than anything. If it was even like a little shove, like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Yeah, give him a little bump. That's just guys being guys, bro. That's not that deep. I think the excess, and Jeff being like such like a nice guy, at least publicly, I don't know him personally. A soft-spoken, nice guy. The video wasn't harsh. I think a lot of factors made it like this, because I don't think this would have been that bad if it wasn't all these circumstances combined.
He is a very, at least from my experience, I don't have, I didn't have like a one-on-one with him, but we were training in the same gym. We did it a couple times, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who he was. I just remember, I remember asking, because I was still competing at the time. And I remember this kid was filming in the gym, and I thought, because let's face it, he's not a big guy. And I'm like, who's this guy? Like, who the fuck does he think he is?
Yeah.
Because he was doing his thing. He was doing what a YouTuber does. Like, at the time, I did not understand it, nor did I respect it back then either.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got in his video multiple times, and I still will. If you're in my way, I'm going to do what I need to do. I don't care about you. It's a shared space. If you got a problem, take that with Joey Swole. No, I remember seeing him, and he was very quiet. He just minded his own business. And that's exactly what he should do. So
Yeah.
I just found that interaction to be strange. But like I said, my original assumption was he was interfering with Mike's business, and I'm like, all right, well, you mess with the man's money, you're going to lose your
You're gonna
teeth.
you're gonna find out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna find out. Yeah, the whole thing has been, I think, blown out of proportion to some extent. But yeah, Mike was arrested, posted bail. That's as much as I've heard. He seems to be posting content again. So
Oh
I think
yeah,
he,
I actually I know if I buy this hoodie, people are going to think that like I'm pro Van Wick or whatever. But you know the Friends, like the show Friends, right?
yeah,
He's got one that says "We are not friends," and I'm like, and he has like the way it's spelled, like in like different
yeah.
color letters and stuff. I
The
was
friends
like, I
caption.
want that hoodie. Like, I don't want to pay $80 for a hoodie, but I'll pay that for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now the thing is, if it says like Wicked or if it has Mike's name on it, I won't wear it because
Yeah,
I'm very kind of particular about that. Like, if I don't know you and I don't actually like you, I'm not going to wear your apparel.
yeah, because you don't know him well enough to know what kind of person he is. Yeah,
Yeah, like I'm not going to
I feel
wear it
that.
like it just says like Van Wick or Wicked or whatever. But if it just says we're not friends, I'm like, yeah, I'll wear that.
Exactly. But Justin, I don't want to hold you too long. You down to do a couple questions,
Yeah, we're
quick
good.
ones?
Yeah,
All right. Let's see.
see what we
Would
got.
you would you rather no carbs all off season or no protein all prep? Well,
I mean, that's an easy one for me. I know the guy's probably making a joke out of that, trying to be funny with it.
yeah.
I would say no carbs in the off season because up until
Mhm.
yesterday, I had been doing keto for a while, like 8 weeks, and I actually don't mind it. I really don't. And when I say keto, I'm not talking about like the keto that Dave Palumbo made popular. That's like
Like
bodybuilding keto. It's not
or like
real
real
keto.
keto.
Yeah, I was doing like 120 grams of
Oh,
protein with like 220 fats.
damn.
Yeah, and it worked because my digestion was on point, my mental clarity was on point. I mean, yeah, you're gonna feel a little groggy from time to time. You're not gonna feel as good in the gym, but I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I
Yeah.
wanted to feel better, look better, and drop a little bit of weight, which is it worked beautiful for that. And after that, I only tried this for a week. I'll be honest, I didn't, and I didn't mind it. I just decided I don't need to diet. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I'm in good enough shape that I don't need to push anymore. But I did carnivore for a week of absolutely zero carbs, and it wasn't as bad as people think it is. It's genuinely not.
Well, first and foremost, for the question,
But doing
car,
no protein in prep, like yeah, I'd be a beanpole.
I mean, what else? For me, what else would I eat? Because it's pretty much all protein. What the fuck would I eat? But also,
If I did something like that, I could throw a curveball on this, and I could say I'm going to eat oats, beans,
oh,
quinoa because I'm still getting my protein in, just indirect. Now if he wanted to twist that question and say you can only have white rice or what's another like or potato, something that has like low protein in it, I'd be like,
yeah,
damn, he's got me on that.
that's a good
But
point.
if I could just choose like beans, not to sound like who was that bodybuilder? Max Charles, wasn't it? Like before he ever turned pro, said he was eating like black beans and black rice. That was his whole diet because he
Yeah,
grew up like poor.
yeah, he
And
was
who
doing
knows, man?
everything.
The dude's got freaky genetics. He may have looked like that on beans and rice. I don't know. But I'm
Yeah,
just thinking, because I'm a carb guy and I'm tolerant to carbs, if I had like 1,000 grams of carbs with just those sources, I'm probably going to get like 250, 300 grams of protein. So I'll take that.
I like carbs, but I feel like that'll be like overload if I just had all carbs.
Yeah,
You know,
most people, if they're trying to eat 1,000 grams of carbs, they're not going to
they're
fit.
not. Okay, but from survive. Okay, so carbs are not essential, right? Protein and fats are. What if you? Well, I guess you could never get zero protein because there's some protein in carbs. But if you
Correct.
went 3-4 months without any direct protein source, would you get sick or would you die? I don't know what the fuck would happen.
Vegans basically do it all the time, man.
Oh yeah, good point. Good point.
Like,
Good point.
yeah,
You don't have to.
they're not getting direct protein sources except the ones that are actually drinking like vegan protein. But like the only ones I feel like are doing that are the ones that's into fitness to try to bump their protein up. But just take a vegan who just wants to be a vegan and live a normal life and be skinny and small. I mean, that's most of them usually are. I have never seen an obese vegan before. If it is, I'm going to start questioning how your diet looks. I mean, gee, I couldn't imagine even eating enough calories to get fat on a vegan plan. Like, I don't think I could do it.
You would have to have a lot of
Impossible burgers and a lot of.
See,
I think French fries are vegan, though.
Yeah, you can. Okay, here's the thing. You can do that kind of stuff, but well, I'm thinking out loud, and this is just me thinking wrongly as well. But like, I think vegan. I'm just thinking all veggies, natural sources, because usually those type of people, I don't think they go vegan. There's a few that do go vegan because they just don't like the thought of killing animals to eat. But I feel like a lot of people go vegan because they're doing it for like health benefits. And if you're doing this for the healthy reasons, going vegan and still having artificial sweeteners and having all the preservatives, you're not really doing yourself any favors. So like if you were literally just eating vegetables, geez, it would be really hard to gain weight on that.
Well, being vegan became a fad, like not at this moment, but maybe like I don't know, 5-6 years ago, it was like a fad to be vegan. And then so a bunch of people were turning vegan, but they were doing it for the wrong reasons. So they were just bullshitting. First of all, most vegans aren't vegan; they're plant-based because true vegans, they can't even wear leather, right? They can't even wear leather or like have like bags that are made like Chanel bags and shit like that.
Yeah.
So if you have that, you're not actually vegan. You're plant-based diet.
I've seen stuff where, like, for example, I'd be willing to bet those AirPod or those headphones probably has leather around it, right?
That's true, yeah.
So, like, I've seen videos where people will brag about being vegan, and then they'll hop up in their Cadillac that has leather seats. I'm like, right, make some sense here, buddy. Wearing those nice leather boots too.
See, this is the thing. It's like you don't have to. If you're a good person, I feel like you don't have to try to make a point of how good a person you are. You're just a good person, motherfucker. It's just nature. You know, they would eat us too if they had a chance. These animals would eat us too if they had the chance.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like it is what it is. We just it's survival. We need clothes. We need food. Listen, there's enough cows out there to go around.
I'm not promoting the death of animals, but I eat the shit out of it.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I mean, to each their own, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, man.
I don't see it. I mean, the only thing is, this is me going to go off on like a little bit of a fishing tangent here, but like, I feel like when it comes to eating animals, like cows are a renewable resource because we grow them, right? We raise them, we slaughter them. So like, there's no such thing. There's not going to be an extinction of cows, right? Same for horses. And I mean, we don't eat horse here, but other countries eat horse. And they raise horses. They raise pigs. They raise turkeys. They raise chickens. Those are sustainable. I guess what I have a problem with is the seafood industry, because when you go offshore, guys like me that go out and kill 5, 10, 15, 20 snappers when I go out, dude, that ain't doing it to the population. But you take these commercial boats that go out with trolleys, and they're killing 10, 20,000 fish a day.
Damn.
Like, that's not sustainable. And by the way, you're talking about fish that take 20 years before they can start reproducing again. Yeah. Like orange roughy. Everybody likes orange roughy, right? Mm-hmm. I like roughy. A lot of people don't for the butt effects of that, but I never got that. I've never had that issue with orange roughy. But the thing about orange roughy, people don't know. This is where I'm like a marine nerd. I think they're like a fish that lives to be like 80 to 100 years old.
Damn.
And it's like 20 to 30 years before they can reproduce. So if you're going to the bottom and you're killing all these breeder fish, the old ones that's actually laying eggs. And the thing is, they're not a big fish either. You don't want a fish that big. You know, you want something with size to be able to eat it. Well, when you start killing those breeder fish, you kill the population. And by killing that population, you are going to extinct that species. Like, you're going to cause major problems. It's not like we don't have a fish farm, which we do have fish farms, but talking about saltwater, actual fish. Like, we do farm raised salmon, farm raised catfish, tilapia. Eat those in mass amounts. It's not healthy for you, but that's irrelevant. But like, eat all those you want. Like, for example, deer, bison, bear. We don't commercial hunt them, do we? We don't commercial hunt them because if we did, they'd be extinct in a year or so. Now, granted, they do raise bison. They farm raised bison, which is why we have it in the stores. I'm good with that. That's perfectly fine. I just don't like them raping the ocean because, like, we can't farm raise tuna. We can't farm raise, Lord forbid, sharks. I don't care about sharks, but, like, we can't farm raise these species. So, like, when they go out and they kill those, I do have a problem with that because I feel it's one of those things that, like, if you have a boat, you have the skills, you have the means, go do it. But I don't think it should be allowed for commercial. Like, I'm sorry. I know there's guys out there that love their grouper, love their lobsters, love their snappers. Go get them yourself. Just go get them yourself or eat that catfish. Like, because it's not about what you love. Like, it is genuinely about preserving the ecosystem. So, like, when vegans are a little different. Vegans are just like, it's an animal with a heartbeat, don't kill it. And I don't support that because I obviously eat animals.
Yeah.
I just support sustainability.
Yeah. Shit, go jump in the ocean. I'm sure someone's going to try to eat you.
It's possible, yeah.
We get one of them sharks. All right, let's do one more question. Top 5 annoying things clients do. 5 is a lot. Let's say 3.
Let me think on it.
It's hard to think on the spot.
Go ahead. I can give you a couple.
I think it's annoying that the clients that do the least always try to give the least. Like, they want to sell, they want a deal, they want the cheapest price possible just to do no work, basically.
I agree with you. I wouldn't say that's in my top 3 or top 5, but I do deal with that where people want a plan for $100 a month or $50 a month or whatever they want it for, and then they turn right around and then they don't even execute on that. Because when I was first getting into coaching, I wanted to. It's just like, you can't break into an industry and start charging what guys have been doing for 20 years. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I did take on people for $100, $50 a month, like, because I wanted to just prove to the world I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to show you all know what I'm doing. But I have found the ones that would negotiate me down were the ones that was literally they're negotiating their own progress down too because they didn't make progress, like they couldn't execute.
Well, sometimes on top of that, they ask for the most. Sometimes those are the guys who text you every fucking day, and you're like, it's funny that you're the one that don't want to pay shit, but you're all over my text messages, right?
Correct. Yeah. That's a fact all day long. My biggest thing, or one of my biggest things, is, and I do deal with this. I usually deal with this on a weekly basis with at least one person, and 99% of the time it's an accident. So I just miss it. It don't bother me. So let me be clear about that. It's not something that I'm like, I don't look at my phone. Like, it's not like that. But if it is 9 p.m. on a Saturday night and you check in with me, I'll look at it. I'll put you on red. I'll get back to you on Sunday morning. I ain't answering you at 9 p.m. on Saturday night, especially when I tell you very specifically, hey, I need. Say you checked in on Sunday, and I'm like, hey, we're going to do this for a couple days, and I'm going to drop you down hard. I want you to check back in with me on Thursday morning. And you check in with me Saturday night, and you're like, hey, bro, do I get any changes? I'm like, I don't know. Do you follow the damn plan? Did you read my message? Like, that's my thoughts. Is like, you obviously don't take your own progress seriously. So how am I supposed to take your progress seriously? I always tell people, if I care about you more than you care about you, that's a problem. Exactly. Like, I should not be more invested into your progress than you are invested in your progress.
100%.
So I get that. And like, I've had people, now this one's annoying. This has got to be my number one pet peeve. When I lay something out, training is one thing because we can always negotiate that. Hey, this movement works for you. This don't, this hurts. We always, that's different. But when I lay something out to you, and I'll give you a real good example of this. I had a guy, you've seen my plans, you know exactly how I work. Like for example, when I put fluid intake or water intake, I never change that. I'm not gonna, like you're 30 weeks out. Why am I changing your water 30 weeks out? But I always put this on here, and I'm gonna pick on him for a second. But Balzano, when me and him first got together in 2014, dude was drinking like 2 liters of water a day. That was it.
Holy shit, yeah.
I took for granted he's getting at least a gallon in, right? At least 4 liters. But he wasn't. And I realized, okay, Justin, not everyone is experienced. That was Brian's first show ever. He didn't know. He did that for a while, too. That was a learning curve for me because I realized, like, I do have to specify this type of stuff. But what burns me is when I specify it, and we work together for 6, 8, 10, 12, 20 weeks a year. And then you ask me the question like, hey, man, how much water do you want me to take? I'm like, really? Like, oh, better yet, I got a good one. I'll have their food. Like, you see how I do the food. And I have some people, I usually make a note on this for these select people. Some guys like to weigh stuff raw. And I like their plans, I have to make a note. That way I don't have a problem giving you raw weights. Yeah. But what I do have an issue with is I have built your plan for you. We've been working together for weeks on end, months on end, or a year. And then I get a message. Hey man, should I be weighing my food cooked or raw? I'm like,
why really? Didn't you ask earlier, right?
You're asking that question. Like, what the hell have you been doing for the last year? That one right there really does scorch my ass. Like, and not to mention, sometimes I give all my prep people a break on this because I know what it's like to have a prep brain. Sometimes you read something and just straight up forget. It's like, I thought our podcast today was at 3. I ain't even in prep. It was 4. My fault. Yeah. So, I do give people a break, but sometimes, like, when I see questions, like, say I answer here. And then, like, the conversation dies. And 3 days later, you ask me a question that I literally didn't even have to scroll up. Your answer is right there. Yeah. Like, I answered you, I covered it, and it's right there. I'm like, bro, like, I'm giving you I'm answering your questions. I'm laying it out to you in very specific, detailed terms. The least you could do is read it. Like, read it. Like, and not to mention, I had a guy one time ask me about carbs. This has been like a year and a half ago. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I changed something on his plan. I put all my changes, I put it in bold, right? On WhatsApp. You just highlight it and, click on it. You can make it bold. I always put changes in bold. And if I don't put it in bold, I will tell you, hey, I changed so much on this plan that I didn't bold it. So just please read it over real good. Like, if I put your changes in bold and you ask me a question about said changes, I'm like, did you read it first?
I don't understand how some people's brains work. Yeah, if I make a lot of changes, sometimes I might screenshot it and circle it and be like, okay, or even I'll send voice messages if it's close to the show. Hey, I changed this. I take it, every once in a while, But generally speaking, I have one client in particular. I shit you not. I had to be working with this man at least 6 years. Every time we start up he'll go ghost for a couple months out the year. Every time we start a program, he'll ask me the same exact questions that he's asked me every 6 months for the last 7 years. Bro, down to the digestion shake. Hey, can you send me a video how to make the digestion shake? Bro, the same digestion shake you've been having for the last 6 years. Why are you asking me that?
Hey, boy.
Okay. Honestly, I believe he's a very successful. He's pretty wealthy, actually. How the fuck do you get that successful if you can't just remember simple steps, bro? Down to mixing like growth. How much CCs do I put? The same amount you've been putting for the last 6 years. What the fuck are you talking about?
I've had people when it comes to like when you talk about mixing it, like not necessarily with GH, but like a lot. And I always cut people slack once or twice on this because at one point, there was a time in my life I did not know how to dilute the powder. I didn't know like because I'm good with math, I have an engineering background, I'm able to say, okay, I have 10 units here and I put 1 milliliter in. This is how to me, that's second nature. Like I don't have to think about that. I never really have. But again, I have a math background, so I'm not going to knock anybody who don't. Like to me, it seems like education, like simple elementary educational math. But again, I know people are dealing with chemistry here, so I'm not going to knock them. However, PCTs are pretty common. Like, there's not a lot. Like, I'm not going to be giving you a different PCT every time.
No,
it's going to be very, very similar. So, like, I'll explain to people, be like, okay, so do you have an amp or do you have a vial? Whatever they got, I explain to them how to use it. And the next cycle we do, I'll be like, okay, cool, man. We've been off for 14 weeks, 15 weeks. It's time to shut things down. Let's go into this. And they're like, can you tell me how to dilute that again? I'm like, dude, scroll up. Like, dude, it's the same thing. It's the same bottle. You don't need me to do it twice.
Bro, I literally have like a because I got tired of saying it. I have a comprehensive fucking note about that for the growth and the ACG. And I'll send it.
Apparently.
And they'll still ask. So I'll send it again. And they're like, okay, just double checking. Bro, how many times? I feel like once you've done it, let's say twice or 3 times. Honestly, twice. Like, that should be it. How much time do you have to relearn the same shit, bro? Holy fuck, man.
Well, I have people, and again, I don't get upset about this. I really don't get upset about it, but I do have people that will, because sometimes when you buy your gear, you may get testosterone that's 200 milligrams, maybe 250, maybe 300, and I don't ask you, hey, what's your stuff dosed at? Like, I'll just say, I want you to do 750 tests a week.
Good point, yeah.
And they'll be like, well, my stuff is dosed at 200 milligrams per milliliter. How do I do it? And I'm like,
calculate it.
I'm like, bro, like it's not that hard. Like,
it's some division.
But what kills me though, I have one guy. I like the kid too. He's the young kid that's just. I've basically taken this kid, and I personally feel like he didn't know how to work out. Like, he did not need a bodybuilding coach. He needed a personal trainer. Like he went way ahead of his skill level by hiring a bodybuilding coach. And to be fair about it, those first 6 months, he worried the shit out of me. He annoyed me because it was like, hey, he would send me like 5 videos a day. Like, am I doing this right, that right? And I'm like, holy shit! Like, I'm literally your personal trainer now.
But that's like a separate job. That's like a whole
yes. Like, I'm literally critiquing like 8 videos of his 5 days a week. Like, it was every training session, every workout, every rep, every set. And I'm like, dude, like, this is not like what I do, but like I did it for him because I understand, like, paying me for a service, and I understand it's like a doctor, man. A doctor gets paid the same pretty much on every visit, and some patients are in and out in 3 minutes, some take 20 minutes. So I get that. It's okay. But when it comes to the gear, we're like 3 years deep together, and he still don't know how to measure his gear right. Like, I don't get that part, though. I'm like, come on, man. Like, there's going to be a day that I'm not going to, like, every coach and client will sooner or later part ways. That's how it is. It's like, like, what are you going to do when I'm not with you every day? Like, I'm not with you in your life because I hate to say this, a lot of coaches ain't going to tolerate that. Like, I remember, I used to think he was a total prick for saying this, but I understand he probably was at his breaking point with this guy. I took this client on, and he told me, like, this dude still DMs me to this day, like, tell me I'm the best coach he's ever had. And I treated him right, but he told me that Patrick Tuller was his previous coach. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not any hate on Patrick, but he told me that Patrick was an asshole. And I'm like, really, man? I've never heard that before about him. Like, I like that.
I think most people say that, but not like not in a bad person way. Like he's a good person, but an asshole. Like he's very blunt, almost to the point that people feel like disrespected. But he's not trying to disrespect you.
Yeah, I don't think Patrick's a bad guy. I don't think he has bad intentions, but I know for a fact he probably, let's back to that whole mixing stuff up. Mm-hmm. He told me that Patrick was an asshole, and I said, well, if you don't mind me asking me, I was like, I've never heard a bad word about Patrick. I was like, why, what did he do? Why do you feel that way? And he said, well, here's a screenshot. He sends me the screenshot, and he asked Patrick how to dilute 5,000 IU of HCG. And Patrick wrote back, and he goes, I'm your bodybuilding coach, not your math teacher. Figure it out. He wrote back, he wrote Patrick back with a facepalm emoji. And I guess that was the end of their relationship. I don't know. But I have a hunch that there was probably a lot led up to Patrick saying, dude, I can't do this no more, this guy.
But Justin, be honest. There's a part of you that wants to reply to that, but you're trying to be like, okay, let me not be that guy.
I don't do it on the first time. Like after I had it happen 3 or 4 times, I did this to the same, not that kid, but the one I told you to ask me like every cycle, because he's kind of weird, man. This kid's like 8 cycles deep, and every time we do a PCT, we run his testosterone. He comes back over 800. Like his natural test bounced back to 800. So that's great for him. I was like, you don't need no TRT, probably ever at that point in life.
Yeah.
But like one time I just scrolled up and just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I like went to my previous message where I told him, I was like, please save this in your phone because this never changes. This is always going to be the same, buddy. Like just save this in a note the way you don't have to ask me this question again.
Simple as that. Yeah, no,
simple as that. Imagine. So you started really coaching after you retired, right? Imagine
I had about 10 to 15 guys that I would say were silent athletes per se while I was competing. And to be honest about it, I really wish I would have just coached full time while I was competing. But my biggest thing and why I didn't was when I turned pro, I like coaching. I actually really do. I mean, just like any job, there's always going to be things that you don't like about it. Like there's no such thing as the perfect job. So I've always liked it. But like once I realized like, oh man, like you actually have a chance of being at the Olympia someday. And you know, like basically I feel like Boston Lloyd was the guy who changed the game on being public about PEDs. Yeah. I single-handedly attribute Boston being the guy that while we can go on a podcast right now and talk about this, because you know that was like very hush-hush like 10 to 12 years ago.
Yeah,
nobody talked about it. Mm-hmm. So I remember reading this email. This was 2013, and this guy, a client of mine that I took on at that time, he had been working with Sean Roden, and he sends me the screenshots where Sean told him to take XYZ drugs. And I'm like, oh man, you got Sean's name in that. Like you're passing this information around. You're attaching his name to these cycles. I'm like, and this guy's trying to be Mr. Olympia. And I actually said Sean will never be Mr. Olympia because of that, which proved me wrong. Good for him. But that being said, I realized at that point, I'm like, I have to be selective of who I can trust, who I can't trust. Yeah, so I just stopped. You know, obviously it worked out good because at the time I decided to stop, I was also getting sponsorships to make money, and I was guest posing making money. So, like, the money blew up for me. I continued to make twice, 3 times, 10 times more money. But I was taking on less and less people because if I didn't know you and I wasn't with you for a long time, I didn't trust you, I wouldn't work with you. And that was one of the sole reasons why, because I didn't want people to attach my name to these emails where I'm telling you what to take.
Yeah. Well, some coaches, I know John and Reagan would never write anything on paper. It would be a phone call. Yeah, they did a phone call.
Never find an email. Like Hani, I think, has recently talked about PEDs on his podcast and stuff, but he's very vague about it.
He's extremely vague with it. Very vague with all that shit.
Well, like,
I mean, even peaking, anything involving, like bodybuilding, drugs, diuretics, or even peaking for a show, he's extremely vague with it.
So I think we've talked about. I know me and you have talked about this, but I don't know if I don't publicly mention it on a podcast because even though I will flat out say I think Hani's overhyped, I'm not going to shit on him. Like, I don't think he's a horrible person. I don't think he's a horrible coach. I think he's overhyped. But I did work with him in 2011, and I can't. And I look my all-time worst, potentially my all-time worst ever, to be honest. But I don't think that was 100% his fault. I really don't. There was a lot of outside factors that went into that. But that being said, our check-ins, I would take pictures. This was his request. I would take pictures and send it to him. Nothing else. Just pictures and wait. Nothing else. Then we hop on a phone call, and he would do the diet and the gear over the phone. Now, I could tell he had a notepad that he was like referencing because he knew what I was taking. He knew what I was eating. Like, he wasn't just blindly throwing shit out in the dark. Yeah. But like, there was zero written messages, like no emails, no text, nothing. There's no proof he told me to take anything ever.
That was very smart because Boston had everybody's program basically, but he never had Hani's.
Yeah, we couldn't get it. Yeah, and what was funny is I remember Boston one time. Hani got mad about this because I showed Hani the message. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a message to me; it was to somebody else in Boston, and I got the screenshot of it. Not now, but Boston was like, he was telling this guy, well, what Hani Rambod does is X blah 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 blah, and I was like, that literally makes no sense. I was like, maybe Hani knows something I don't know. So I was like, I'm going to ask him about this when I see him. So I was like, hey, what do you think about this on my phone? And he completely flipped his wig. Like, he hated Boston with passion.
Yeah.
Because Boston hated on him all the time.
He did, yeah, he did.
So, like, but Hani's the type of guy, he won't say something like that publicly. No. But, like, he told me, he's like, Justin, he's like, you're not dumb. He goes, why would anybody ever take a cycle like that? He goes, that just makes no sense at all. I'm like, thank you. I was like, but I don't know why Boston was saying it. Maybe he was saying it just purposely hoping Hani would get his attention.
Boston didn't understand like what would be honest versus offensive, right? Because you speak honestly about Hani, but it's never offensive. But you could say it in a way that could be very offensive, right?
Yeah.
But you have you have the understanding of how to say it. Boston, he didn't have that. Even to his own friends, he would be like, "Hey, baby, last show you look like shit." He didn't understand that you can't say it like that. You could be like, "Hey, you could have been harder. Could have been harder in the glutes."
Yeah.
He doesn't understand how to communicate in that way. And a lot of times he didn't mean any harm. Sometimes he did. I mean, there's people he liked Hani actually. I think he just didn't understand how to. But he didn't like. Let's say I don't know Phil Viz. He didn't like Phil Viz. That was obvious, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some people he actually didn't like. But even for people he liked, the way he would communicate, he didn't know how to pull punches or phrase it. I don't know. Say it in a way that you would say it if you didn't want to offend somebody. He didn't understand that.
I think he was very highly misunderstood. Yeah. With Boston, and also Boston was very skeptical of what people would tell him. Like, I remember me and him never had like words. Like, it was never like anger or aggression or animosity between us, but he actually never said this to my face either. Not to my face. He never said it he never wrote it to me, but he thought that I was lying about the things that I did. Like, because we talked about it. Like, I just flat out told him what I took.
Yeah.
Like, because Boston made a post one time. He said something about synthol, and I was like, dude, I don't do synthol. And I tagged him. I tagged like 4 other guys in this because obviously I had great arms, or I had big arms. Yeah. So Boston said something. Keep in mind, Boston also sold synthol too. He had his own line. Yeah. So clearly it's a promotion to his own line. But he said something like, somebody asked him, something about Justin Compton's arm, synthol. He goes, absolutely, he fills them up. And I'm like, I was so offended that I went out of my way to message him on that. Like, I was pissed off because, like, synthol works in small muscle groups. But the thing is, my small muscle groups, like delts, arms, and calves, were always my dominant body parts. So why would I want to make my dominant body part more dominant? It makes no sense to me.
But
Here's what my comeback to people, and I always said this. I can't say it now because it doesn't hold any weight nowadays, like it did back then. And if anybody ever called me out nowadays, I would still say it. But I mean, nobody's going to complain about a 20-inch arm. But 24s is a bit of a different story.
Yeah.
And I always told them, I said, like, Dave Palumbo, basically, it was him and Dave conversing as well. And I think Dave's a little bit nicer about things. Dave wasn't like Boston. But he said something about Dave agreed with him that I was probably using synthol. And I said, okay, guys. And I tagged him, like a couple other guys. I said, all right, since this is what you all think, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make a lot of money really fast. And I said, not only that, you'll bury my reputation straight into the ground. I said, here's what we're going to do. Pick your day. I said, you can call me the morning of as well. I said, this can be 365 days of the year. I said, we'll put it in writing, just in a contract. I said, if you all genuinely think that I have shit in my arms, I said, a CT scan will show it, right?
Yeah.
An MRI and a CT scan. I don't remember which one. I looked it up at the time. But there is a way you can see that oil and inflammation in the arm.
Yeah.
I said, so 365 days of the year, this offer's wide open. So, like, I'm not going to clean out and then go get a CT scan. So, like, you pick your day. You call me the morning of and say, Justin, schedule an appointment today. I'll go ahead and buy the exams. I'll buy the MRI, self-pay. I'll pay for the CT. Here's how we're going to do this. If anything comes up in that CT scan, I'll write you a check for 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Anything doesn't come up, I want a contract. You give me $10,000. If I show up clean, nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted that smoke.
Nobody could think that of it. Yeah.
So that shut people down real quick because it's like, man, Justin's so confident, and I was confident enough that, like, I would have taken a polygraph. But the thing is, people pass a polygraph. That's why I didn't want to make that as a suggestion. I was like, y'all really want to do this? We'll go get the damn CT and MRI. We'll do that today. But you're going to give me $10,000 for my trouble.
Yeah. Boston was very skeptical. The only way he would believe you, he would have to know you so well to know that you would never lie to him, right? But he was very skeptical of a lot of things and a lot of people. We hadn't spoke for a while, and then we spoke again. He hit me up because I had got up to 300 pounds, right? And he was like, yo, you got big as fuck. Like, how much growth you taking? He was like, right now, about 6 IU. He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, bro. No way. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I was like, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not saying I wouldn't take more, but that's what I'm taking right now. How much test? Oh, about 1,200 or 1,250. No way. But I think even though he's saying no way, I think he did believe me, because he knows that I wouldn't lie about it.
Like, I gave him the truth about what I would take, but like I never criticize people for using less or using more because I still say this to this day. Like, I wanted to be the guy that I was. I wanted to be that big. That was my objective, and that was my goal. And if I was not able to accomplish it on the gear that I used, I would have went up. Absolutely. I'm not going to be like, oh, I would never do more than this. I would never. No, man. I absolutely would have done whatever I had to do.
It really comes down to how much. This is why the question is irrelevant. Like, me knowing what you take is irrelevant because you're doing whatever it takes to get to where you're trying to get.
You need to get there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that could mean 750. That could mean 1,500. It just depends, and it changes nowadays, bro. If I go anything over a gram of test, I literally go to shit. I feel like shit. I want to sleep all day.
That's
my
how
appetite goes to shit.
1,200 was my number. 1,000 to 1,200. I did 1,500 one cycle, and all I did was I wanted to.
I didn't want to work out.
Sleep, fight, and fuck, and that was about it. That's it. I wanted nothing else.
Okay, even worse. If it's that high for too long, my libido starts to go down. It's the weirdest thing. If my test dose is
mine was always higher on TRT than it ever was on cycle.
Okay, so right now I'm on TRT, and I think there was a little bit of a down curb in in strength and libido, and then now it went back up. So let's say this is like week 6 off, right? Like week 6 off. Like around week 4, I felt like there was a little bit of a dip, and now it's actually my strength is right back up, and my libido is like higher than.
I was similar, man. Like that's why I always thought it was funny because people would see me like guest posing or running in this expo or that expo, and they're like, "Oh, he's blasting 3 grams at tests," and I'm like, "If y'all only knew," I wouldn't even say it. I was like, "If you all only knew that I'm just doing 250 milligrams of tests right now, your heads would explode."
Yeah,
Like they couldn't tell when I was on or when I was off because I didn't really get flat when I would be off, and I'm still moving heavy weight when I was off, and I didn't lose size when I was off. It stayed.
Okay, here's the thing, right? Boston did this, and so did Tony Hughes, right? They believe that they had shitty genetics. I disagree. If you pay attention, look what Boston can do in a short amount of time. But
Transform quick.
But you know he fucks off for the rest of the year, right?
Yep, I know that.
When I tell you he'll go off cold turkey, no PCT, eat Chinese food for 3-4 months, and then get back on and transform. I'm like, you don't, because if
That's
you
not
Justin,
a transformation, but he called it one.
but I'm saying if you Justin Compton did that, you would never have been 300 pounds lean.
No,
You know, so my whole thing is Boston. Honestly, I mean, there were shows that he looked really fucking good, and it was like a 8-week prep. And I'm like, imagine if he gave that same discipline for
52.
4, like basically what you did for 5-6 years straight. And now, I think Boston would have been a pro just from his condition alone.
I
But
think
also,
if Boston had the right guidance when he was young, because his stomach got blown out there at the end.
yeah, he did lose.
If Boston had the right guidance when he was young, I really do think he would have been a pro. Now, that being said, he still would have died because of that
the hard thing,
aorta dissection. But
it was genetic as well.
I had that. Yeah, that's a genetic thing that a lot of people want to blame steroids for, but that has nothing to do with that.
Not that he wouldn't have hurt himself. Yeah.
I had a conversation with one of his friends. Like this was like a week ago. Like we were on Instagram. So it was like a private conversation, and I told him if Boston would have addressed kidney issues, because remember how he avoided the doctors and stuff?
Yeah, he hated
If he would have addressed the kidney issues, they probably would have found the heart thing, right? So if they found it, he would have got that fixed, and he would still be with us to this day.
You know, a lot of people with kidney issues a lot of people in kidney failure die of like heart related issues for some reason.
Well, think about it for a second, man. Your kidneys regulate your electrolytes, right? They regulate your water. So think about when you have a lot of water retention. You have a lot of water retention. It puts high blood pressure. It puts pressure on your heart.
Yeah.
Think about your electrolytes. If your potassium goes too high or too low, it cause a heart attack. So if you start having imbalances due to the kidneys giving up, the heart's going to go too.
Yeah.
Like I really think those two organs need to be just like connected, because if one goes, well, if the heart goes, well, if your heart goes, I guess you don't got to worry about kidneys because you're going to die anyway.
Yeah, right? You're done. Yeah.
If your kidneys go, your heart typically goes right behind it.
Yeah. So I have asthma and I have a history of respiratory issues, right? So basically, I caught like a flu, basically, just like a bug, and I was in prep.
Was this 2018?
So, yeah. And then I had rhabdo as well. So now my kidneys and my lungs are kind of fucked. So then now my heart starts to work, twice as hard. Now my ejection fraction is going down, and then it becomes this big ordeal, and they called it pneumonia, but it's so much going on that you don't even know what the fuck to call it at that point, right? Because now it's kidney, heart, lungs. Your lungs are full of fluid. Your heart is working super hard, and the kidney numbers are starting to not look so good. So it becomes this circle. The good thing is, shortly after, all the numbers kind of return to normal. The ejection fraction took the longest, actually. But So once they saw it go back to normal, then they kind of okay, relax, because they don't know me like that. They're like, why is this person so fucked? Like, what the fuck is going on? So they were scared. They thought I was gonna die. They're like, oh, you're gonna die or something. I'm like, damn, I'm a young man. What are you talking about, bro?
The heart thing is the biggest issue because they can control and regulate a little bit with the kidneys and lungs, but when that heart goes, man, that's when the ejection fraction gets. I tell people if you have an ejection fraction of less than 50, what is yours right now? Probably 58, 60 range.
I would say at least mid-50s. The last time
You're all right. Like if you're less than 50, you don't need to be bodybuilding. Like I think that's a horrible thing.
You don't even need to be like big, right? I mean, you got.
Yeah, you don't need to be overweight at all. You don't need to be muscular. That's just more stress on that.
Yeah.
Like this is a good friend of mine. I used to prep him back in the day, and like heart issues can oftentimes be genetic. Like it, probably more so than not, it's genetic. And this guy is not. I mean, he was a damn good bodybuilder too. Like would have been a pro. Probably wouldn't have done anything as a pro. Just it's a structural thing. We talk about getting like crazy hard. This guy could get hard as my granite countertop, like freaky hard. He takes a little time away from bodybuilding because, in my opinion, he kind of got screwed on one of the shows. He got screwed pretty hard, and I don't know what happened. I was sitting right there live in the audience, 4 rows back from the judges. I was very disappointed, but that's a different story. And it caused him some like mental distress, and he walked away for a bit. He comes back in like 2020, and we decide to try it again. And he goes, I say, hey, man, first he asked me, what labs do you want me to get done? So, I said the basic labs, get your C&P, get your CBC, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, go get a calcium score and get an echo done while you're at it. He goes, okay, no problem. And he gets the echo done, and his ejection fraction was like 42, 43. I'm like, bro, I love you, man. I ain't trying to fucking kill you. I was like, I'm not going to coach you. I was like, as a matter of fact, not only am I not going to coach you, I'm going to highly recommend you give up this dream of being a bodybuilder. Because if you don't, you're going to go into a full-time dream called death. Like, and that's what I had to tell him. And the thing is, he's not stupid at all. He's actually works in the medical field. He just had no idea. So, like, as soon as he got his numbers, he knew, like, this is bad. So he's on medication now. He's doing perfectly fine, but he's also like 170, 180 pounds nowadays.
I think, would you, okay, if you, how many pro bodybuilders are there? Maybe, I don't know, hundreds, right?
There's thousands now because of the pro cards, but like active pro bodybuilders, I don't know, maybe 1,000, 1,500.
If you checked all the ejection fraction, do you think they're all above 50?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay.
So the guy that does mine, he is a personal friend of mine. I do not go to a doctor to get an echo done. He's literally a personal friend of mine. I hop in the car, I go see him. He lives a pretty good ways away from me right now, but I can go see him. And he always takes me in after hours. We do all the exams, look at things. I have never had an ejection fraction less than 67. I'm always 67, 68, 69. So I'm like in the perfect zone. But then again, I have good genetics when it comes to that specifically. But anyways, he does tell me a few things that I'm not supposed to know about because he works with a few other bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And he did an echo on a bodybuilder. I won't name drop the guy because I'm not even supposed to know this. But my buddy that does this for a living, he told me, he said, this particular bodybuilder is over 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. And he's big, man. He's a very large human being. He's like 5'10", over 300 pounds, too. And he told me, so he told him straight up, he said, if you don't quit, he goes, you're going to be dead in 5 years. That was about 5 years ago. And this guy is still and he laughed it off and he made some type of comment like, I guess they're just going to have a big casket for me. Like these guys say stupid stuff like that. Like they say retarded stuff because they don't take it serious because they feel good at the time. And you know how it is. Like if you feel good, you just assume everything's good. I'm just waiting for this guy, like to see an RIP post about this guy.
Because it's not a maybe, it's going to happen.
It's when. It's not if, it's when.
Speaking of that, Big Lenny, right? I remember, I think it was around that time he was going to fight Mr. G. It might have been before that.
You're gonna fight?
Yeah, that was crazy. It was like, it was
but wasn't Lenny a little bit autistic?
there was, I don't know if it's autism,
Weird.
but there's something. He's obviously not 100% there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure what the diagnosis is. Some people don't even get diagnosed, but he's obviously not 100%, right? Now, his ejection fraction for the last, I don't know, 6 years probably they set the number, and it was so ridiculous that they laughed. They didn't laugh because they're trying to be mean. They laughed because they're like, how the fuck is he alive, right? Now, that being said, it was going to happen. Honestly, he lived a lot longer than probably people would have thought, right? Because it was ridiculously low, like to the point that he needs to be like sitting in ER right now. But he didn't care, and his friends around him probably just like, you
they
can't control
probably
people.
Encouraged it too.
For sure,
But
yeah.
like,
unfortunately, you know.
with him, I never really knew how to take the guy because he was always so out there. Like, I know he was friends with like that Jason Genova kid.
Yeah. He was.
But like, and obviously Jason is autistic, you know, like, and I really do feel bad. Like, there's only two types of human beings that I show sympathy to. One is autistic people, and the other one is children, because children are innocent. They don't know, like, they haven't had time to tarnish their name, tarnish their soul. And autistic people just don't know. So, like, if I see somebody picking on an autistic kid, I want to beat your ass for that. Like, I want to get physical with you for doing that. I think that's completely wrong. People used to clown Jason and Lenny so bad. Like, I don't know if you remember this or not. Poor Jason, they would catfish him online. They would have pictures of like hot girls. And Jason's actually not too far from me. He's in like Deerfield Beach, which is about 90 minutes from me. But they would catfish him and be like, hey, my name is, I don't know, whatever, Samantha. Yeah. And, you know, you're a really good looking guy. I'm into bodybuilders. I live in, Tampa. That's like a 3-hour drive. I'd love to meet you and go out with you. And because Jason was autistic, he wasn't able to decipher like this was not real. He would be in his car going down the road with a damn video saying he's meeting this hot girl. He would show up like 2 hours, 3 hours away from his house and sit there at a restaurant for 2 or 3 hours waiting on somebody that ain't ever coming.
Man.
I'm like, dude, you guys are some literally low-life piece of shit to do that to an autistic kid. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Jason was a little annoying at some of the things he would post. But, like, I can't, like, that's the one thing I can't do. Like, I am glad to put people in their place, to say what's on my mind. But, like, when it comes to, like, a special person, I can't do that. It's like with Lenny. You know, that's why I said Lenny was going to fight somebody. Like, if Lenny told me he wanted to fight me,
I'm not fighting that guy, man.
Unless I I would do because I'm sure as big as he was, if he got a hold of you, you may be in trouble if you don't fight back. My job would just be to stay away from Lenny. Like, I could not take that serious. I would just have to get really far away from him and just run in circles around him or dodge around it. Like, I couldn't hurt the guy. No matter what, I couldn't do it.
He was having trouble with like
breathing. I'd have to take an ass whipping off of him because I couldn't bring it to myself to hurt him.
Yeah. You could tell he was having trouble
catching his breath. That probably had to do with the ejection fraction as well.
Yeah, 100% had to do with it.
And what the fuck was in his stomach? I don't know. That's inflammation.
It's weird.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Honestly, man, you know what it is? When guys are in heart failure, they'll hold fluid internally.
Good point. Yeah.
Could have been that too. He could have been in congestive heart failure for a few years before it finally gave up.
To be honest, looking at him and the way he had trouble catching his breath, he might have been in congestive heart failure for the last decade. You know, he just outlived it for a long time, apparently.
Yeah, he defied medical logic, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and it's like with Dallas, man. Like I think when he collapsed in Australia, you know, they were blaming diuretics. I think that was the early sign that his heart was giving up right there.
There were so many signs that
hoarse voice. Notice his voice changed.
That's something
too.
I also heard I think it was a chat interview actually. He was like, Dallas would throw up a lot. He would tell me, he would be like, hey, why are you throwing up? And he'd be like, oh, this is normal. Like, yeah, I throw up sometimes. And he's like, what the fuck?
Well, you know, he throws up under high anxiety situations. because I do remember in 2015 when he won Cal, he was with Hawley, and when I say with Hawley, I mean he was in his presence. He was supposed to be working with Hawley, but he was actually doing everything Matt told him to do. That was something I don't know. I don't think poor Hawley even knows that to this day. But like Hawley didn't prep him for the Cal, Matt did that. And that's one of the things that got Matt put on the radar. That's also one of the reasons why I chose to let Matt coach me for the 2016 Arnold, because he did such a killer job with Dallas. But I do remember, like, Dallas was backstage, and Hawley told me, he's like, he fucking just puked all over the place. He's grabbed a trash can. Blah. And it was because when he gets in, like, really intense situations, he vomits. It's like Stan from South Park, remember?
Yeah. Wait, so, but that's not that's not health related. That's like a cork or something.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the puking, I think he's always had that.
Okay.
But like, if you look at the end of him, though, his face, the swelling in his face was coming on, and I don't mean like water retention from high estrogen, which I don't know how he didn't have high estrogen considering the test levels being that high, but whatever on that. But yeah, like there was so many things that I think a lot of us just we brushed it off to the side. We're like, oh, it's just gear. Like we didn't realize he was actually dying.
Yeah. Well, shit. Even the fluid retention. He made a video like 2 weeks out from the Arnold Classic, and he looked off season. Even though at the Arnold Classic he was in good shape, but I mean, he had to really drop a shit ton of water in 2 weeks. So but at the time, he's a bigger guy. He probably just holds a lot of water, but that's an insane amount of water to look that far off 2 weeks out. And then make it to stage and look good, which means it's not body fat, because you're not getting rid of that body fat in 2 weeks. So he was holding a shit ton of fluid, which is not a good sign, if you're holding that much fluid usually, So, well, what are you going to do, though? I mean, it's one of those things that was genetic as well. From my understanding, he had 2 uncles that passed away pretty young. So I don't know if that's a true story. Oh, yeah? Well, so
yeah, his dad had stents and his grandfather passed away at a young age.
So that
all now, too.
That being said, even when it's genetic, obviously being 320 pounds will expedite that, right? Will expedite that. But also, like, but what else could he? It's easy to say at 26, just stop. But let's be real. If you're just hitting your stride at 26, a lot of people probably wouldn't stop. I mean,
as much as I want to sit here and critique that situation, I am literally doing something, not with cardiac, but something that I know I shouldn't be doing right now. It's because I love doing what I do. So, like, my dad has skin cancer. So clearly I probably, not like melanoma, not like that. He has he's developed basal carcinomas, which can turn into melanoma and end up bad and kill you if you don't address it. He's had it for like 40 years, man. Like literally 40 years. Maybe at least 30. 100% 30 years. He'll just go get a thing cut off here and there. It was due to the fact that when he was younger, he had like just constant sun exposure. Like not just going out and getting a sunburn, but like sun poisoning. So my dumb ass, oftentimes, not often, it's more times than not, when I go offshore fishing, I don't wear sunscreen. My dad rips me. He's like, Justin, you're going to be like me one day. And in my mind, I'm like, Dad, I feel good. Leave me alone. And it's one of those things like, I know it, but I'm just not doing anything about it. But here lately, I will say this. I have been wearing like UV clothing, pulling it over my head, because right now he's getting a radiation spot on his ear. He's got to have radiation for it. So when I see that, that's like, that becomes reality. It's like, ooh, that does not look good. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, I'm 36. I don't want to be doing this at 46.
Yeah. But, it's definitely tough. I after the pneumonia thing, right? Maybe a couple months later, and my ejection fraction still wasn't back into the 50s. And I think I told you, and you were like, you probably shouldn't do any preps, man. Like, what the fuck, But in the back of your head, I mean, I did until, I think, 2020. But you want to. They told me don't even work out. Damn well I was fucking working out. Obviously, I didn't start working. But it probably would have climbed up faster if I didn't work out. They should do cardio, right? go do cardio, not intense cardio, walks, you know, something
Yeah.
like that. If I would have done that, it would have climbed up a lot faster. But the truth is, mentally, I was, I don't know, 26. I don't know how old I was, 27. I don't know. And it's hard. What the fuck? Just stop working out, motherfucker. Like, that's a hard. Competing, I could stop competing because I didn't get into bodybuilding for competition per se. I like the working out part. I just mentally I couldn't do it. And I was like, let me go light. Yeah, but then you're doing 20 reps with the fucking stack of seated
It
rows.
feels easy. Then you next thing you know, like you're doing 50 pounds because that you're told to go light, and it feels good. You feel like everything seems to be functioning 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, 140. Next thing you know, you're right back to the old numbers.
Exactly, you know. What helped? I was just really young. I mean, if I was 37, yeah, if I would have done that, I probably would have never recovered, you know. But being that young, you can get away with a lot more. But it doesn't mean you should. So, but basically, I'm saying that it's a lot easier to tell somebody to stop. But when you're in their shoes, man, it doesn't make sense. You know it's wrong. You know you shouldn't be fucking working out. You know you shouldn't be competing. But something in your head is like, what else? What else do I do? I mean, I don't know. This is what I know. You know. Unfortunately, like Ronnie's still, he's rich, he's successful, but he's still leg pressing 5-6 plates. You know, I don't know how he does that because he can't really walk, but he can still leg press.
Fine.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I'm sure he has to be in pain, bro. Like I don't know, but he does it.
I think he just lives in. You know, I really do. I don't want to get too deep on this because I know we've been on for a while. But Ronnie, if you look at the old videos of Ronnie, look at his demeanor, watch his eyes, and just pay attention to his personality when he was healthy. That is, and you watch his personality now. Poor Ronnie sees this his space cadet, like he's all over the place with his head. The things he says is not like normal Ronnie Coleman like type of things he says. And you know that documentary King Coleman, he talks about, I don't know if it was Oxycontin or Percocets or what it was, but he's on a lot of heavy pain meds.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's life, man. He's not coming off that shit. Like, that's going to be permanent. So that being said, I feel like he's probably not living in pain because he's on so many pain meds, but he's also living in an alternate reality because of that.
I don't know if you ever watch his channel. If you watch, he has a very successful YouTube channel now. Yeah. And if you watch he does reaction videos.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in a different world. 100% different world.
That's what I'm saying. Like his brain is just not there anymore. He's not confident.
Some of the things he says, his body movement, his demeanor, it's not the Ronnie we know. That's for sure. It's done. So, but I guess it's better than being in pain. I don't fucking know. But
it's either be in pain or dead. Maybe, who knows?
Exactly. But Justin, you've spent a lot of time today, so let me not hold you
any longer. Let me go walk this dog. I don't know what he's doing over there. But thanks for coming on, man. We got to have you on more often.
All right, man. Yeah, just handle your business with the dog, and I'm going to try to handle mine with my dog because me and him are not on lately at all.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh no! Wait, which? You have 2 dogs, no?
Yeah, it's the bully.
Oh,
dude, he barks at everything. Like he didn't used to be this way. He barks at I swear my air conditioner kicks on. He'll bark. Like there'll be a cricket 3 miles down the road. He'll bark. Like, oh, don't worry. If you knock on my door, that fucker's idle. He's silent as a whistle. That big goes. He is silent as can be when you knock on my door. Nothing. Zero. But like literally a good gust of wind could come by. He'll just go off on a tangent barking. And I know a lot of people would think that's not a big deal, but it's like it is like 15, 20, 30 times a day. And every time I lay back, like lay my head back, I'm like, okay, get a nice nap. You know, like right when you're just dozing off, he'll just let out. And what it does, it shakes my nerves up because
it's the worst.
Because he's got a very deep bark. Like it sounds very vicious. So like he's driving me nuts. And I know a lot of people would probably criticize me for this, but like we've tried calm reassurance, nothing. We have tried kenneling, nothing. Put him outside, nothing. Yelling, put him outside. Spanking, nothing. Put him out. Nothing works. So my last resort, I have two things up the sleeve. Is there's a bark shock collar. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're gonna shock your dog." I have no other option. I've exerted all the other options. He just started doing this about 6 to 8 weeks ago. I have no idea why all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that's an option. And then there's a dog trainer that's local. This guy, apparently he knows me from bodybuilding. I don't know him, but I'm going to contact the guy.
Yeah.
I'm willing to hear him out. So those are my last two options. If I cannot, I don't want to say silence him, but like if he doesn't improve, he's going to have to find another one.
Yeah,
I can't.
It's too much. It's too much.
It's just too much for me.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough, man.
Like it's to the point where like I'll just be sitting here relaxing and just chilling. Like I'm a high strung individual as it is. So like when he goes off on one of his little barking escapades, it puts me in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
like I said, it wouldn't bother me even if it was once a day I could tolerate, twice a day, 3 times a day I could tolerate. But it's like 3 times an hour, 4 times an hour, 5 times an hour, every 15 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. And like, dude, I can't watch a movie without you just losing your temper or like barking at a cricket or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. If anybody knows why a dog would randomly start exerting that type of behavior, please don't comment here. I want you to DM me directly because I need to know ASAP what to do with that.
Yeah. Especially when you're coaching clients, your brain is so active all the time. You have that little window, 30 minutes to like close your eyes and relax a little bit.
Yep.
Boom! That's the worst feeling, man.
Yep.
That's it. All right, Justin. I'll talk to you.
All right. Yeah, I'll catch you later, dude.
Yes,
Have
sir.
a good one.